So I'm going to show you my work, which is entitled Impact of HbA1c and blood glucose levels on the epigenetic regulation of TXNIP in newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic subjects. So here I'm going to show you the most glucose-sensitive gene in the human body, and we are going to focus on one CpG site, which is in the 3' UTR of this gene. So previous studies have shown that this CpG site, DNA methylation of this CpG site has been associated with type 2 diabetes and sustained hyperglycemia, and mainly those diabetics with a poor glycemic control. So here we wanted to replicate these findings and to know whether DNA methylation in blood of this CpG site was associated with blood glucose parameters in newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic individuals. So for this, we measured DNA methylation in blood of this CpG site in newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic individuals from the Andes cohort. And the Andes cohort is an ongoing prospective cohort, which is in the south of Sweden, in Skåne, and its aim is to recruit all incident of type 2 diabetic individuals. So here what we do is like we split this cohort in a discovery and a replication cohort because DNA methylation was measured at 2 different time points. And here you can see the clinical characteristics of the type 2 diabetic individuals. So let me show you now the results of this study. And then indeed we found a very strong correlation between DNA methylation of this CpG site and some blood glucose parameters such as HbA1c and fasting blood glucose levels. So as you can see in the picture, you can see that low levels of DNA methylation of this CpG site were associated with higher HbA1c and with higher fasting blood glucose levels in both discovery and replication cohort. We also found an association between DNA methylation and the change in HbA1c after 1 year. And as you can see here, higher levels of DNA methylation of the CpG site in the TXNIP gene were associated with an increase in HbA1c after 1 year follow-up. But this association was pretty much attenuated when we adjusted for baseline HbA1c, suggesting that there is a stronger association between methylation of this CpG site and baseline HbA1c rather than with the change in HbA1c. And the association between DNA methylation and HbA1c or fasting blood glucose level remained associated even after adjusting for potential confounders such as age, sex, or BMI. We did not find any association between DNA methylation of this site and insulin resistance or insulin sensitivity or C-peptide levels. So I'm going now to show you the effect of DNA methylation of this site in TXNIP gene on HbA1c and blood glucose levels. So methylation of this site explained alone 30% of variation in HbA1c and 13 to 20% of variation in blood glucose levels in both cohorts. And here you can see this just like focusing on the R square here in this table. And interestingly, as the beta coefficients show, a 1% increase in DNA methylation of this site was associated with 1.1 millimole reduction in HbA1c in both discovery and replication cohort, and also with approximately 0.15 reduction in millimole liter of blood glucose levels in both discovery and replication cohort, which I would say it's like a lot just for 1% increase in DNA methylation. So we can conclude that the methylation loci, that is in this 3' UTR region of this TXNIP gene, which is the most glucose-sensitive gene in the human body. So it is strongly associated with HbA1c and with blood glucose levels in a population of newly diagnosed drug-naive type 2 diabetic individuals.